To create a new document, we go to the main menu and under File, select New. A new dialog window will open where we can determine the settings for our new document. The settings we choose will depend on what our image will be used for. Suppose your client has told you, we want to print 8.5 inches by 5.5 inches handouts, and they have hired you to design them. This request contains the information you need to set up your document in this dialog window. Your document dimensions need to be set in inches, so we will need to make sure we have inches selected from this drop-down list. They also tell us what the dimension should be, 8.5 by 5.5. Now, there is an important piece of information you need to interpret from their request. They say they want to print your design. You are not designing an image for the web. What should the resolution be set to? From our earlier session, you already know the answer to this. For print, we want to set the resolution to 300 pixels per inch. Additionally, we have options for the color mode of our document. When sending a document to be printed at a professional printer, you need to make sure you set up your color mode to CMYK. A side note here. By default, Photoshop sets our color depth to 8 bits for each of our colors, which is shown here. We want to leave that as is for all of our images and projects. With these settings covered, you can click OK. You have a brand new document set up and ready to start working. Now let's create another new document. We go back to the main menu. Under File, we select New. In this case, we want to create a document for an image which will stay on screen and won't be printed. For now, let's assume that your client's web developer is already taking care of the website and they have requested you design a front page image and they give you the specifications for it. 500 pixels by 500 pixels. What you need to do in this window is set up your width and height in pixels. So use these drop-down lists to make sure pixels are selected. Then you can enter the dimensions, 500 and 500. As we discussed in our earlier session, when we are creating an image that will be used for the screen, we do not need to specify the resolution. We need to specify the number of pixels for width and height. The way your image will be interpreted for your end user will depend on their monitor resolution. So we can leave the setting as is. Your color mode should be RGB for screen images. And you are now ready to go. You can click OK and your new document is ready. If you create a document and you need to change the color mode after the fact, you can easily do so by going to the main menu and under Image, Mode, select CMYK. You may be asked to confirm the change in your color mode. You can just click OK to confirm. Now that we have created our new document, we need to save it. To do this, we go to our main menu and under File, select Save. Because you haven't saved your document before, you will be asked to give your file a name and choose the location where you want it saved. I will name my document web-image without any spaces. You can see here that Photoshop has added the extension .psd to our file name, which corresponds to the selected option on this drop-down list. If the selection on this drop-down list indicates we are saving a Photoshop document, the extension will automatically be set to the appropriate .psd. If we choose to save our file as a different format, that extension will change accordingly. As we have discussed before, we want to save all of our working images as Photoshop documents until our project is completed. So we want to make sure Photoshop is selected here on this drop-down list. Next, you will need to locate the folder where you wish to save your work, and then click Save. Within the GIMP interface, your new document dialog window may look a bit different, but the same concepts apply. We go to the main menu and under File, select New. The Create a New Image dialog window will open, and this is where we can determine the settings for our new document. For an image that will be printed, we make sure our units are set to inches, and we can then set our width and height to 8.5 and 5.5. For the resolution setting, we will need to expand the advanced options by clicking on this arrow. GIMP prefers to list the resolution options for both your X and Y axis, but both of these are linked together by default with this chain icon. You will only need to change your setting for one and the other will be updated automatically. Let's enter 300 pixels per inch for X, and you will see that the resolution for Y will also change to 300. If this doesn't happen, you can manually enter your resolution setting to 300 for both, and click on this chain icon so these are linked for the next time you will be setting up a new document. A little disclaimer here. GIMP does not give you the option to create a CMYK document. It is possible to do so, but it gets a bit more complicated. For the purposes of this class, we will be working with images that stay on screen, so you only need to worry about selecting RGB as your color mode. Now, to set up a new document for the screen at the dimensions of 500 pixels by 500 pixels, you will need to change your units to pixels as opposed to inches, and then change the width and height to 500 and 500. Click OK, and your new document is ready. To save your document in GIMP, you will have to follow the same steps, naming your file with the appropriate extension and choosing a location where it will be saved. To do this, we go to our main menu and under File, select Save. Let's name this file WebImage and make sure the extension .xcf is added to our file name, which is the extension for GIMP documents. If the .xcf extension doesn't show up, click on this arrow for Select File Type and select GIMP XCF image. Next, you will need to locate the folder where you wish to save your work, and then click Save.